YouTube pages as well as Channel 98 on Central TV. Join in and be a part of this special Bible studies effort by praying that God continues to lead and bless this ministry, by becoming a faithful viewer and inviting your friends and family to like and share our programs, by your kind donations and of course your generous financial contributions. Contact us at 416139351 or send us an email at atn@cbm.belizeunion.org. We are located at 10 3/4 miles Philip Golson Highway. Thank you for being a part of the ATN ministry. It is our prayer that you will keep the book of the law always on your lips.
Meditate on it day and night, that thou mayest observe to do according to that which is written therein. Then thou shalt make thy way prosperous and have good success.
We're fine. It's been crazy lately though. Last week, this tornado just crashed through my entire neighborhood. Everything went dark. We had no electricity, nothing. All of my classes are online, and that's why it's really difficult to keep up with everything. But I think God calls me in the midst of all of this chaos and noise and I don't know, everything. But he doesn't compete for just my attention. He competes for my heart. That's why I need to spend time with him in the quiet. And it's so interesting to me that even though I'm with him in just those quiet moments, experiencing him is not quiet. It's so much more, much greater and fulfilling. And that's the fascinating thing. His power is not just bound to those quiet moments, but they give me the trust and strength that I need every day.
Everyone gets sad now and then. Do you? In some cases, you may know the cause. In other cases, you may not. Even if there doesn't seem to be a cause, what can you do when sadness holds you in its grip? First, find someone to talk to about it, such as a parent or close friend. In the midst of his turmoil, Job, a faithful man in Bible times, said, "I will speak out in my bitter distress." When someone knows what you're going through, he or she can lower the rope and pull you out of the pit. Here's another idea. Why not put your thoughts on paper? At Proverbs 3:21, the Bible tells us to safeguard practical wisdom and thinking ability. Writing about your feelings can help you do that. Once they're on paper, you can sort them out. And then the sadness can be less overpowering. A third suggestion. The Bible says that if you pray about your concerns, the peace of God that surpasses all understanding will guard your hearts and thoughts. So don't forget prayer. Last, but certainly not least, reading the Bible can help, especially the book of Psalms. Filling your mind with positive thoughts from the Bible can have a positive effect on your feelings. But what if your feelings just won't go away? What if you've lost interest in just about all activities that you used to find exciting? What if you seem to have no appetite, have trouble sleeping, and suffer from intense feelings of worthlessness? If symptoms persist, why not talk to your parents about getting a checkup? A physician can help determine if your sadness has a medical cause, such as clinical depression. If you do suffer from clinical depression, it is nothing to be ashamed of. With treatment, many sufferers have begun to feel better, perhaps even the best they have felt in a long time. So, whether your sadness is caused by depression or not, with assistance and effort, you can get out of the deep pit of sadness. Remember, feelings are temporary. They will pass. And if you can learn to deal with them now, you'll be prepared to handle them as an adult. By taking things a day at a time and relying on the support of your parents and trustworthy friends, you can go from sad to glad.
Thank you for joining us this week on our third week of Youth Come Alive. And this week's episode is Beauty and the Beast. We want to welcome you guys today, and we want to remind you to join us on YouTube, Facebook, or Channel 98. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Not me saying describe.
It's the illiteracy for me.
That's okay. Today I am your host, Aislinn Murillo, and with me on set, of course, my beloved colleagues.
Hi, I'm Jalen Pascascio.
And I'm Kayla Esquiliano.
This week we're talking about depression, Beauty and the Beast. Imagine that title. But we're going to dig a little into that in just a minute. So today our topic we're going to be talking about depression. Guys, when you hear depression, what is the first thing that comes to your mind?
Lot of crying.
Lot of crying too?
Deep sadness.
I could just imagine somebody in a room, in a dark room, just
like
not being able to pull themselves up. So that's the first thing I think about when I think about depression. Now, also heavy heart. You have heavy heart, people with heavy hearts, but it's the mask for me, and that's where this Beauty and Beast comes in, because you can see some people being so flamboyant. They're living every day as normal because they have to go to work, they have to go to this job, they have to do their normal everyday life. But then when they get home, they fall completely apart.
Sometimes it doesn't always happen when they're home, because sometimes you can see someone 1 minute, people would say, oh, they're bipolar, because you can see them 1 minute they're with a crowd and they're giggling and laughing, and the next minute they're so sulky, they don't want to speak to anyone. So I feel like it catches you anytime or wherever you are.
And you mentioned being flamboyant. There are many ways in which I think depression displays itself. Yes, there's the putting on the face and keeping a smile and going about your daily duties as if nothing's wrong, and then you go home and you fall apart, like you said. And then not all the time it's because we have to fulfill our obligations, but because we don't feel like anyone will understand if we let them into our private thoughts. But joining us on set, before we get deeper into the conversation, is Miss Lloyda Fairweather. Good evening, Lloyda.
Good evening.
tell us a little bit about yourself, because I know you, and I feel like that.
I just, you know, I've seen her around. We have a conversation, but tell us. We want you to tell us about you.
This seat is a no judgment zone.
Right.
Me and you that
Well, I'm Lloyda. I grew up in Adventist Church along with Jalen and Kayla. I lived in the US for the last 10 years, so I haven't been around recently. And I spent the last 7 years teaching at a college in the US in IT.
Okay. All right.
It's a little icebreaker for me. All right, Lloyda, before you joined us, we were telling our viewers and having a discussion about depression, Beauty and the Beast. And we just mentioned that with the title Beauty and the Beast, we put on this masquerade of being okay. My world is fine, everything's going good over here. And then on the inside, there's a whole other underlying issue.
What you think when you hear depression, or how would you define this word?
So usually when you hear people talk about depression, they talk about like a sadness. But like we usually just oh, I'm sad. But I feel like there's more to it. A lot of times people feel like there's an unknown, there's an uncertainty, I don't know what else to do, there's anxiety, there's overwhelming feelings. It's just a lot of I don't know, and I don't know how to fix it. And I think that's the hard part about depression is you don't know how to fix it or what to do to get out of that place.
And that's a very, it's heavy, because sometimes you see people struggling and you do not know what to do. You do not understand how to help them. I mean, even as somebody in this profession, sometimes it's like, how can I help to drag you out or pull you out or to take you out? Like, but you can't save the world. And
I'm glad that you mentioned this profession, because I should let you know that sitting over there in the black and the tan jacket is a Bachelor of Psychology. So she's speaking very professional with us this evening, and quite fitting for such a taboo. I still think it's sort of taboo, because
we like friends like him.
Yeah.
You know something? What Aislinn was saying, I think all of us can experience it when it comes to don't know what to say or what to tell people, because you can experience this the most when you have a friend or someone that has lost a loved one. Like what can you say to them, or what can you do to say, oh, I understand your loss, because you're not in that place. So how can you bring them from that place of losing a loved one, or oh, I feel for you, or I understand where you're coming from, because it did not happen to you, so you don't really know what to say.
Yeah, and I joke about that a lot, because quite similar with the Happy Birthday song. When they're singing Happy Birthday, what do? Do you sing? Do you clap? So if
Do you sing for yourself?
Right? If someone's standing in front of me, falling apart and crying, you need a hug. You want me to call the police? I don't really know. It is
a very touchy situation, because sometimes when someone is down, sometimes talking is not what they want to hear.
That is true.
Sometimes maybe it's just water they would like for you to get for them. Maybe sometimes it's just a simple hug me. Just hug me, hold me, say nothing.
Or just a company, just
right,
sit
or
down
just
there.
a simple company sitting there. Or sometimes maybe it's just, depending on the type of person, maybe it's just a simple laughter they would like. What you think, Lloyd? I don't want to say your name, because I don't want nobody to vex with me.
Lloyda?
Lloyda, that's fine. I think I personally, I'm a little bit different when it comes to something that's mental, like a mental disorder like this. I personally feel like friends are great. Friends can help you to lighten the mood, but I personally feel like sometimes you need more than a friend. Like sometimes I feel like I'm a believer in things like therapy. And I feel like that is really, because this is a trained professional, you know, that can help you to process exactly how you're feeling. Because when you think about it, going back to what depression is, like you don't know. So having your, like you said, you know, having your friend and your friend doesn't know how to handle it, that doesn't help. So going to somebody, just like when you're sick and you go to a doctor, is because the doctor knows exactly how to treat what's wrong. So going to a therapist would help.
And one of the things that you would not want to happen is for your friend to also feel that, like, because sometimes I feel like the sadness can be transferred to you, because you can sense it. So the minute you feel it coming to you, you're like, okay, I think we need to change this conversation. But then, so that's what makes it very hard, because you don't want to just leave your friend there. And so majority of the time, it's a very, I don't know what to do. But psychologically speaking, people that suffer from depression, they would need to seek either talk therapy work, or they would need some type of medication. They would need, what's the thing called again? Not me forgetting.
When did you forget that far? But we
I
understand.
know, because usually there's a chemical
antidepressant. Not me forgetting the word. Yeah, sometimes you need the antidepressant to help.
Because like Lloyda said, some things that cause depression is a chemical imbalance.
Right, it's a chemical
hormones
imbalance,
and in the mind as well. But I have a scenario I want you to tell me what your outlook on it is. So it says here, Luke used to be a model student, but now he hates school. I relate to you, Luke. Because school are doing it. And his grades are now plummeting. Luke has no energy for the sports he once enjoyed. His friends are confused. His parents are worried. Is it just a phase, or is it something more? And I want to throw in something right there. Not a psychologist here, but I think I could get an honorary psychology degree in doctorate.
Wait, you a certificate friend.
Right. It's coming. People throw around the word depression very loosely.
Right.
Oh, I'm depressed. And from what I know, there is clinical depression and depressive states. Madam Professional.
According to the DSM-5 TR, the diagnostic criteria.
Tell me.
Not Jalen doing this to me, but according to on a serious note, according to the DSM-5, there are about 8 different criteria. I'm not going to go through all of them, but there are 8 different criteria, and if you have 5 of them, including that 2 weeks, because it has to be that 2-week span. That 2-week span, and then you have to have one of the symptoms of depressive mood and the loss of interest or pleasure. So one of those has to be in it in order for you to have to say no, you're clinically depressed.
Right. So in his situation, it takes a while for your grades to plummet. They don't just skyrocket straight down overnight. So would we say that his situation, identifying that his grades are failing, no longer has interest, does that relate
the loss of interest? Well, according here it says a loss of interest. So maybe it's the starting of this cycle, and 2, it's known that depression starts between age 15 in male and female, more in female.
Okay, so I have another illustration here just to go over what Jalen says. It says, nothing makes Anna happy anymore. For no apparent reason, she cries uncontrollably every day. She avoids people and barely eats. It is difficult for her to sleep or concentrate. Anna wonders, what is happening to me? Will I ever be myself again? So when it comes to Luke and Anna, what can we do? In their situation, I know we can say we see a lot of people going through these same similar problems. And sometimes we just say, oh, it's a phase, like what people like to say, oh, they're teenagers, oh, they're
Right.
that one adolescent.
They don't have their priorities together.
Yeah, or people usually blame it on, oh well, they're growing up, it's a phase, or they like throw the word bipolar around very loosely as well. And I think when it comes to these situations, first of all, we need to figure out the problem, where it came from, because I don't just want just automatically depressed. There's something that leads me to that depression. It can be a loss of a loved one, it can be relationship wise, because I hear people broke up and they not eat for about 2 months, or they ball crazy. But okay, I'm just saying, they probably have some people like that. Or it can be probably they're not. People are it's physical, physical, sexual, and those abuse in the home or at work or wherever. It can be a lot of things that leads up to them being depressed. So we can't just say, oh, they're sad because they're sad or they're depressed. It's things that leads up to them, and you can never know that probably you can be the one that is leading that person to that depression as well.
Right.
That's a harder one to swallow.
I think we need to take a moment to think about that.
Right. So while we think about that, the comments, they kind of dry, and last week we had a very boisterous conversation about ketchup and garnaches. I need some kind of feedback in the comments, guys. Let us hear from you, your input on depression, opening up about personal things that we experience helps others realize that, okay, I'm not in this
the only one.
I know sometimes it's hard for you to come out and outrightly say that, okay, this is what I've experienced. But if you're willing, if you may, show us, tell us on the comments here, so that we may be able to interact with you as well.
I want to ask the question. I like to ask the hard questions. Can any of you relate to being in a depressive state or having to personally go through depression? I've been in a depressive state.
But just to add before you move on from there, or if you have a seasonal, seasonal depression, because there's also seasonal depression, and some people experience seasonal depression mostly in the winter time, in Christmas, around the holidays time. Also, when losing a family member, they usually have that seasonal depression. So you can go ahead, and then we can.
I will spare you the details, but I went through a depressive state, and it looked like for me, going to school, acting normal, make sure the grades are good, because I have more problems for my back, and then go home, sit down in the dark, curl up in a corner, and just cry out your eyes.
I can say that personally for me, I live in Belize for most of my life, and Belize is nice and warm, and it's very hot, and the sun is out. The last about 5 years that I lived in the U.S., I struggled with seasonal depression because it was literally going through periods of cold, like 20, 30, 40 degree weather, and some days it's below zero, and having to get up every day and clean your car with snow, and that's a lot for somebody that grew up in the Caribbean, where like it's always hot, like 70, 80, 90, 100 degrees, like that's normal. So I wouldn't say that it was extreme, because I still was very functional, but I could tell that my mood changed, because sometime around October, once the leaves start falling and the weather starts getting cold, like I can feel the mood changing. Like I just want to be home. And for the first few years where I was in the States, like it didn't bother me as much, because I used to come home for Christmas. So once that went away, that's when I noticed like the seasonal depression started to kick in, but it was never to the point where I wasn't functional. Like I could still get up and do things, but I noticed that I didn't feel, I had a loss of energy when it came to doing things that I actually liked doing, like traveling.
Yeah.
So for me, what I ended up doing was I made it a point to try to at least travel to somewhere warm so that I could kind of balance that always, that 5 to 6 months of just being cold.
Right. I have the same experience with a seasonal depression, and every time around February, I know when February is coming. Like my body sense February. It comes that February is here, Aislinn, and that's
so more than just MAGA season in the bank account.
Well, that MAGA season not bother me. It's just the fact that February is coming and I know what's coming, and right away I just start to feel my mood change. And that was around the time when I lost my brother, and not only that, it was the time when his birthday is the 7th. He died on the 27th. And he was buried on the 7th. So it's this entire month I have to go through these dates in my head. And so every time February is coming, my body knows that it's February. So I experienced that seasonal dumbness and depression around that time.
Kayla, hold it out.
No, I've been in the heat. So I can't relate to the seasonal depression, but I'm a little bit up there in age. So for half my life, because I'm 27, so I'm not going to be afraid to say that. And for 25 years of my life, I have been in the leads. And I wanted to go abroad to study. And I went to Jamaica, and that's where I thought that, I was strong enough. It wasn't school per se, it was just the fact that I missed home. So when I went away, I can remember for almost 2 months, I was crying every day. Every day I was crying. I just wanted to be back home. Because imagine you're living for 25 years of your life somewhere, and then it's just that instant change.
Right.
Like it puts you in a mood like you don't know what to do. And the hardest part about it, you were so far away, so you can't say, well, okay, I'm going 15 miles down the street and I want to reach back home.
Right.
You have to travel a whole lot of water. Me can't swim or drink all of that.
People might not see it this way, but it's a traumatic event that you experience. Going away from home, you've been with your mom, your dad, you've been in that same square, or that same circle for so long, and then you have to remove yourself from there and do it alone. It is a traumatic experience, and so you go through those moments where you're learning how to do these things without the people that would have been there. You can't call it that. I said, Dad, I'm hungry. No, sis, when you're at school and you're hungry and you don't got no money, you have to call Jesus. Only he could help you at that moment.
That is true.
All right, guys. Love the discussion so far. We take a break right now. So let's recuperate and give you guys some time to load up the comment section so that when we come back, we have your feedback. So stick around for the break.
Hi, I'm Pastor Emiliano Viamel.
And I'm Elder Shane Neal.
And
we're the hosts of Hour of Power. We are ready to pray for you and with you.
Prayer is the key that unlocks heaven's door. In Philippians 4, 6, and 7, God cautions us not to be anxious about anything.
Instead, in every situation, by prayer and petition with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus.
Join us every Thursday night at 6 p.m. on our Facebook and YouTube pages, as well as Channel 98 on Central Cable TV, to experience this peace that passeth all understanding. You can join our global prayer family by praying that God continues to lead and bless this ministry.
By becoming a faithful viewer and inviting your friends and family to like and share our programs.
With your kind donations as well as your generous financial contributions.
Contact us at 501-613-9351.
Or send us an email at atn@cbn.belizeunion.org.
We are located at 10 3/4 miles Northern Highway at the Tubal Trade and Vocational Institute. Thank you for being a part of the ATN ministry.
And we pray God's richest blessings upon you and your family.
Why do we get sick? How can we prevent diseases? What does it really mean to be in good health? My name is Tracy Lewis, and I'm the host of Defining Your Health, an ATN-sponsored program to introduce health and wellness education to our families, churches, and international virtual community. Health should be a central part of our daily lives, and the choice for optimal health should be in our hands. So if you have questions related to sustainable lifestyle practices, food and nutrition, physical fitness, social wellness, or perhaps a public health issue, then join us every Tuesday at 10 a.m. for engaging discussions led by diverse health experts and medical professionals. God wants you to be healthy. ATN wants you to be healthy. So continue to pray that God leads and bless this ministry. Become a faithful viewer and invite your friends and family to like and share our programs. And remember, you can always make an in-kind donation or financial contribution to further the work of this ministry. Thank you for being a part of the ATN family. And we pray, beloved, that you may prosper in all things and be in good health, just as your soul prospers.
Welcome back, guys. We are here on set talking about beauty. Well, our episode for today is Beauty and the Beast. We're talking and diving and digging into depression. We're talking about depression. As I was going through, running over, looking over for some information, I found some very interesting information about depression and how, since the pandemic started, how there has been a spike in people that are depressed, especially the younger people, the teens coming into adulthood, how it has spiked. And it says here, over every 100 minutes, a teen takes their own life. So this is showing that the suicidal rate also increased. Yes, there it says suicide is the third leading cause of death in young people between 15 and 24. It says about 20% of all teens experience depression, and about 30% of them actually are treated for depression, because you know we have this, especially in the Caribbean, we have this stereotype, this kind of thing where it says psychology or counseling that fit only crazy people. And I believe that happy, you need a counselor. Sad, you need a counselor. In between, you need a counselor. Going to choose a career, you need somebody there to talk to you. Whatever it is, you need a counselor. I mean, I know sometimes as Christian we want to say that Jesus is the answer, but why would Jesus give us the profession and the ability if Jesus is the answer? If your foot broke as a Christian, you will sit there and say, my foot broke, Jesus will fix it. No, sir. You are going to go to the clinic and you're going to ask for somebody to check your foot, and the doctor will check it and put a cast on it. And it's the same thing with counseling. Going to the counselor is just to take all these thoughts that are everywhere and put them on a piece of paper, like our video that we started off with shows us. Take that, all those information that is in your head, organize it on a piece of paper, tell it to somebody, and help you through this situation.
And then you talk about going to a counselor. Some people still have that mental block on seeing the professional because, oh, me not crazy. But what about talking to a friend or a parent? I know in certain situations people will be like, oh, but my man won't understand, my parents won't understand, my friend won't understand.
Right.
And
they never gone through it, so they don't understand that is
right,
what
right.
they feel.
But the thing about it too, knowing that you yourself find it uncomfortable or uneasy to talk to someone about it, maybe the other person you're talking to has the same problem.
Right.
But talking about it creates the environment to say, all right, I need help with this.
And
what can you do for me? Or how can you? It might just be to listen to.
And it ties right into what we spoke about last week with pride. I don't want to say maybe, okay, I will say, sometimes we feel like our depression is something that only we or me myself is going through. So I don't want anybody to think I'm just this pitiful person and just this person always sobbing or crying. So I have pride. I won't let anyone know what I'm going through, or let anyone know what I feel, because I could deal with it by myself. Or I could watch a few TikTok videos where tell me smile every day and I good. It doesn't work like that, guys. It doesn't. So we need to, put that pride aside and be like, I need help.
Right.
I need help, because that is another thing too. We always feel like nobody can help us because only we know what we got through. And when you talk about, we can talk to that friend, we don't know if that friend experienced the same thing, but they were also ashamed to speak about it. But if you are open and talk to them, they can be like, you know something, I experienced that same thing, and probably this is what I did to get over it, and you guys can,
So earlier, Aislinn mentioned about the pandemic, and I will admit, I don't think many people know this about me. During the pandemic, I lived with my sister for almost a year. I remember when they told us, everything's gonna close down, I packed up my suitcase and my passport, and I went to stay at my sister for what I thought would be 2 weeks, and it ended up being almost a year. And when I was going back home and starting life over again, by myself, post-pandemic, I remember reaching out to a therapist. And I did that because I realized that life would be so different after COVID. COVID wasn't done, but going back to normal. And I spoke to a therapist because I felt like my students are struggling. Like, they don't know how to handle life after COVID or life during COVID or whatever it is. I don't know what to do, and I don't know how to help my students. So I felt like for me, I had to be in a good mind frame. And I know I had my sister, but she's also experiencing COVID the same way I am.
Right.
And my mom is, and my friends are, and nobody knows how to. So I spoke to a therapist for several different reasons. I was about to travel to Belize, and I didn't know how to travel during COVID. Like, how do I get on a plane? Like, how do I feel? And then
That is true.
I had to deal with like an expired passport because I couldn't come home to renew my passport because of COVID and all these things. So I was like, okay, I don't know. So let me talk to somebody who, she probably doesn't know either, but she can help me figure out, take all the big things that I keep thinking about and break them into little tasks that can help me to feel better and feel like I'm more accomplished about the things that I'm struggling with.
Right, because what happened to you? What happened when you're feeling like this? Big thing, small little situations start to be big struggles. Like, how did my passport became this big struggle all of a sudden? I never handled this. How do I deal with this so small struggle into this big struggle? But it's because of what you're experiencing. And it was weird. Going through the pandemic, it was weird because you had to readjust your entire life. You had so much plans. You had plans to go back to school. You had plans to work. You had all these plans to meet new people, plans to get married.
Wow.
And then the pandemic just shoots you right down, humble you right back to your knees. How do you deal with all these crises that happens, and then you start to feel the sadness coming on because you start thinking about not being at school. You started thinking of, well, I'm talking about myself here, I'm not talking about nobody but me. I start to say, man, I want to go back to school, but where's the money? No, but all of a sudden, the world ran out of money.
You know, I don't understand that. Because
all of a sudden,
who does the world owe money to? I understand that there is a world. But who we owe the money to?
Before the pandemic, then they had a lot of people may give a scholarship now. All of a sudden,
everybody wants a scholarship now too.
Nobody have the money for the
people never give the scholarship, so I was.
They use all the money for buy all the hand sanitizer. The
toilet paper.
They use all the money for buy the hand sanitizers and Clorox and face masks and I believe that, like what you're saying, the small little things turn into big things. Because when the COVID came, everybody was just filled with a lot of anxiety. Like, they did not know what to do. They were all buying thousands of toilet paper for.
Listen, I stopped watching.
What was that main reason for you guys buying a lot of toilet paper? Well, not maybe us, but I don't understand the reason for people buying toilet paper when COVID came.
I guess then they build what COVID-proof fort out of the toilet paper.
I don't understand. Because, like, we ourselves, because when COVID hit, I just moved to Jamaica, so that was a little bit difficult for me because I remember going in our auditorium for school and they said, okay, we're going to call it off for 2 weeks. That 2 weeks, I was there like a zombie in my house because we weren't having school for the 2 weeks. So 1 minute my sleeping time changed. I was actually turning nocturnal because I was up all night and then sleeping during the day.
Wow.
Like, honestly, that was what happened. The thing is, COVID just made you feel, because you were afraid to touch this, you were afraid to go there, so you were filled with anxiety, you were afraid to step out. I'm telling you, sometimes when you step out of your house without your mask, you feel like you don't have a clothes when you step out. Because you feel like they want hunt you down and shoot you with a spear if you don't have one. Not make you cough or sneeze. It was just a lot of anxiety.
Kayla, you did not only experience a culture shock, you experienced this pandemic shock. So you had a double whammy there.
Yeah.
It was just compiling.
That was a lot.
It was just compiling. You know what I mean? The funniest thing about that pandemic though? People want me to wash packaged products. Not y'all washing the bag of chips, because what you think you made to clean up for the chip?
Yeah, I understand. COVID just came with a lot of, but we survived, guys.
But you know, one of the things about the pandemic happening, I think, I know it's, I not be one of the fanatic people when they talk about the COVID that never true and whatever.
Okay.
No, I would be very mindful of the fact that it happened and I see people dead from it.
Mm-hmm.
But man, I lost my train of thought.
To get it back, but another point to add to what Kayla mentioned about all of the noise of COVID and what it brought on people being sick.
Oh, I remember what I was going to say.
Losing loved ones to a disease that you can't even see.
Lone traumatic experience.
It was not being around them as well, because I know some people are broken into pieces because they could not, kiss their loved ones on their forehead to tell them, I love you.
That's where I was going to go.
Like, imagine you have to probably stand outside a window and tell your loved one, well, bye, or not even hear them on the phone, and have to telling them bye because you're not going to see them anymore. That, I think, must have been the most difficult part of it.
That's what I wanted to say. The pandemic was real. I mean, the COVID was real, but also I believe one of the scheme of the enemy was to create that division, to have more sad people, more depressed people, to make people feel like there's no God. Because I know people started to question, if there is a God, then why would he allow us to go through this? I mean, I had that question in my mind, so I know what I am saying. I was just questioning a whole lot of our existence and the God we serve, because why would he, this so merciful God, this God that created this world in the sixth day and then rest on the seventh, how did he allow such a devastating thing to happen to us?
I don't understand it. But what I've come to realize, and I hope that a lot of people realize it too, is that we of ourselves are nothing. We witness God bringing the earth to a complete halt. This is the same man who hung the stars in the sky. I don't understand why it had to be a deadly virus, but God would be like, listen to me, when the police has me, just stop and leave it. And he put everything for a pause. Put everything for a pause.
We have a comment here on our live. We'll ask our guests to read for us.
It says the pandemic taught us new ideas to make money, created the opportunity to discover a change in how we educate in the classroom with the use of technology. Innovative ideas were forced in order to survive in a society of new changes. Mm-hmm. I think that's very true. I think even though COVID brought us to a halt, I think we saw that people became more intentional about their interactions with their family and friends, because now you're Zooming with people weekly or daily. I know when I moved back home, I spent more time talking to my sister and my niece and making sure I got pictures and all that. So even though like you had to be in your house, I think you became more intentional and focused on building better relationships with the people that you couldn't be in a room with anymore.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like
I like the word that you use, intentional.
Intentional, and being intentional is a part of coping with depression.
Right.
So being intentional in how much you communicate with loved ones that you can't see. What are other things that we can do to cope with depression? I know people like when they're going through depressive states, music and exercise. They run to a marathon.
Because There's another comment, but we're going to come to that right now. What music and what exercise does is to create this happy hormone that you need, those serotonins that you need.
You hear the words? This is the professional
and what the hugging and a kiss would do is to give you these oxytocin that you would need. And so these are happy hormones that are created for your body. And that's why people have to, when people are depressed, they need to take these antidepressants, because what the antidepressant does is to give you those happy hormones that you would need. And sunlight give you that, the dopamines and all the good stuff, all the good hormone. It make you feel good. You call them the feel good hormones.
To our viewers, I hope that you are taking notes now, because like I said, we have a bachelor in psychology speaking to us this evening. So if you're going through it, these are things that can help you better manage depression. Because tell me if I'm wrong, Madam Counselor, depression is not something that's cured.
It is not. There's no cure for it. Just like how there's no identified factor that creates it, but there's elements and things that cause it. It can be genetic. It can be genetic. It can be from a biochemical. It can be from psychosocial. It can be all the environmental. It could be a lot of elements that add to it that creates the depression. But there's no main depiction to say this is what caused depression.
Okay.
And then there's no cure to say this is what cured depression. But a change in your diet can help to create those good hormones.
So if your body is in translender mode, then you're activating the good hormones. Am I getting at it? The good hormones that help
for you, Janet, that's going to be the rewarding hormone.
Okay. I think we have so many ways in which we can cope with it. As you guys, as Lloyda said, you can go to a therapist about it. Right. Don't be ashamed about talking to someone professionally, guys. They studied this, so they know what to do. They know how to do it. They talk to other people that experiences the same thing. So it's not something that you can't say, well, they don't understand. Talk about it, pray about it, read Bible verses about it, listen to music. Music helps a lot. It does. So whatever you do, you just need to find ways in which you can cope with it.
One thing I would say, even though you don't want to stay in that, even though you find yourself in that bed, in that dark room, one of my suggestions would be to get out of that room. Force yourself out of that room and get some sun. Sunlight is going to give you that vitamin D that your body needs, and it's going to help you with those happy hormones that you also need. Exercise, singing, screaming, song simple, song silly. Scream if you need to scream, but
don't scream at people though.
Right. Don't scream at people. Right. Do. Some people find themselves in the garden. Some people find themselves riding bikes. Some people start running farm marathons, relatathons. They start doing a whole lot of different things. Just do something different rather than, I know it's hard to get out of the bed or the couch or your pajamas, but it is going to be a big help for you.
And since we like the word intentional, you have to intentionally prioritize mental health. You have to prioritize doing things that will help you come out of that situation. Kayla mentioned, as we're slowly coming to an end, some Bible verses that we can focus on. Do you have any you would like to just roll out to the people? Encouraging Bible verses.
I can't remember where it came from, but I know what it says, but I know the Bible verse where it says, I wished above all that you would be in good health. And so that's a good one.
That's another verse for I know the thoughts that I think towards you. Okay, just make sure, but that's another one for I know the thoughts that I think towards you.
That is another one. There is one that I can, because it's my favorite Bible verse, and I can always reference it because it talks about God did not give us a spirit of fear.
Yes.
Right.
But of love, power, and a sound mind. I love that verse so much because it speaks to the ability that God has given us. We are not some fragile creature that He just made and just say, put on the earth and say, go roam about, go do your business. I don't want to fool it no more. He give we strong minds, strong bodies. He give we no more spirit of fear, as it says. So we shouldn't be afraid, but be strong.
In the comments, Adrian says, the way to be truly happy is to be truly human. And the way to be truly human is to be truly godly. And we have that coming from J.I. Packer. He has a Bible verse here as well, Psalms 34:8. Oh, taste and see that the Lord is good.
Amen.
Blessed is the man who trusted in Him.
Amen. You know, the last time I did a presentation as it relates to depression, suicide, I remember using this, one of my favorite quote. I mean, I have it on my Instagram as well. So I know it's my favorite quote. It says, imperfection is beauty. Madness is genius. And it's better to be absolutely ridiculous than to be absolutely boring.
A word.
And I live by that daily. And so my seasonal depression it has a part to play in my life. But what I do with it is to make it into a story that make it into an empowerment. It might not be for me, but it might help you. It might help you. It might help you. And one day when I stand in front of thousands to be a motivational speaker, it will help somebody there. I am saying this because it is the truth.
Right, sis? It's the show Let's Be High for me. Right? Adrian puts here another Bible verses because we love Bible verses. Romans 15:13, and it says, now may the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace in believing, that you may abound in hope by the power of the Holy Spirit.
Fill you with hope. God gives you peace, hope, happiness, joy.
Listen, in God is everything that you need.
Lloyda, any final thought?
I was thinking there's this where it says sorrow may last for a while, but joy comes in the morning.
For a night, but joy comes in the morning.
And I think that speaks to, like, just God's plan for you. There's more. It may seem hard right now, but there is definitely more. And just trust God and pray and still exercise and still find things that you find fun, But it will pass. That feeling will pass. Yeah.
So as being a part of the mental health profession, I would say, go find yourself a counselor. There is the hub for those that lives in Belize. The hub is there, and there's plenty of people that does counseling. They probably might charge you a fee, a small, totally nothing fee. And then there's also other professionals around. But seek a mental health profession and get help, because we don't want you to suffer. Jesus is the answer, but there's also professionals here to help. Thank you for joining us. And
before we go,
I feel sad that we have to go.
I have one more verse, because this is one of my all-time favorite verses. It's Isaiah 26:3-4. And I remember this verse clearly because it doesn't have to be a depressive state. It can just be you're flustered with things at work, you feel stressed over certain things, you have anxiety. I think this works for all or most mental health situations. That will keep him in perfect peace whose mind is stayed on thee, because he trusted in thee. Trust ye in the Lord forever, for in the Lord Jehovah is everlasting strength.
Jesus know what he was doing when he was inspiring these men to write the Bible, you know. But guys, we do have to wrap up. We do have to go.
Sadly.
We enjoy our talk with you guys tonight. And coming next month, it's graduation time. It's celebration time. And we just want to you to join us next week as we start off with school, graduation, and talking about career paths. See you next week.
As a non-profit organization, the Adventist Television Network solely relies on your financial support. By partnering with us through a monthly donation, you will help us to continue to fulfill the mission in taking the gospel into all the world. For more information, please call 613-9351 or email us at atn@cbn.belizeunion.org. Thank you for your prayers and support of the ATN ministry, and together we may hasten the soon coming of our Lord Jesus Christ.